fast as if we can. And I think
Yes.
Commissioner Abrams has some ideas.
I do, thank you. Maybe I will bring this up because we're just running out of time. During our council meeting, when City Manager Coleman asked us if there's anything to add, I want to be adding for council discussion, talk about allocating some windfall, or what really comes into the city sometimes as unexpected funds that, we've just seen that at our last council meeting at the end of the year between the opioid money and then the other, I'm drawing a blank right now, the other $137,000 that came in that we weren't expecting as to how we might leverage that for use with our EDA. But I'll bring that up and we can talk further about it as a council. But I think we need, this is a really exciting time. And now we need to put our money where our mouth is. And I think the easiest way to find that money is in these unallocated windfalls that sometimes come to the city. So we can talk more at the council meeting about it, because it's going to be a council priority if that it has to come through the council. But I want to talk more with my fellow council members about it.
Okay, thanks.
All right, we could go on, but I think we're out of time. We've completed our agenda, done masterful work. I think we'll adjourn the meeting of the January 10th Maplewood Economic Development Authority. Thank you very much.
is our first council meeting of the new year. Happy New Year, everyone. I wanted to start tonight's meeting by talking about the rising crime rate in our community and in the metro area. Specifically, I want to address the carjackings, the car thefts, the increase in juvenile crime, and the repeat offenders. I've been reading in the newspaper, and many times I learned that people are out, have been released, and are out and are getting involved in other kinds of criminal activities. And this has certainly caught my attention, and it's caught the attention of the other mayors in the metro area. I belong to a group called the Regional Council of Mayors. We meet on a monthly basis. And this afternoon, today was our regular meeting. We had a meeting on housing, but for the first time since I've been a part of this group since 2019, the group called for a special meeting to do a crime update. At the meeting today, there were, I would estimate that there were 30 to 35 mayors from around the metro area. There were police chiefs, city managers, city administrators who attended as well. I want to thank Public Safety Director Beardeman and City Manager Coleman for attending the meeting with me. It was, I think, what I consider to be the first step in a very important discussion, because we are all experiencing this increase in crime, and it is very, very troubling. In addition to the 30 to 35 mayors and the police chiefs and city staff that were there, there was a panel, and the panel consisted of Ramsey County Prosecutor John Choi and Hennepin County Prosecutor Mike Freeman. There has been some question about why there are so many repeat offenders out there. And the panel started this discussion about what we can do, because my impression of the meeting today is that the mayors want solutions. We don't want to just have a bunch of meetings to talk about these things. We want real solutions. I think we all made it clear that this increase in crime is not acceptable, and that accountability is very important. And what we're really searching for is the right solution. So we have started that work, and I think that it is very timely. I wanted to turn things over to Chief Beardeman and have him weigh in on his impressions of the meeting today, and also give us an update on, we had a looting problem at, along with two other cities with our Best Buy, and I wanted him to update all of us on what's happening there, because this is on everyone's mind. So Chief Beardeman, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, Council. The Mayor teed that off very well. The Minnesota police chiefs have been talking over the last several years, even before the pandemic, but even more now during the pandemic, about the increase in crime and really the concern that we have for each of our communities. And so it was really refreshing today to see the mayors, specifically our mayor and other mayors, stand behind their police chiefs and really work for solutions. So it's not a metro-wide problem. It's not a Maplewood problem. It tends to be throughout the country a big issue, and chiefs are seeing it throughout the country, and it's getting out of control. There's crime and there's the fear of crime, and I see those two things as equally important. And really the meeting today was really addressing auto thefts, carjackings, and specifically theft from autos. As you all know, Mayor, police cannot solve the problem themselves, and we are only part of a smaller cog in the wheel, and it's really a systematic and systemic issue, and we really need to bring key stakeholders in. I think that was the start of that happened today. I'm also a member of the Ramsey County Chiefs Association. Last week, we sent a letter to Ramsey County Attorney John Choi, really asking for some accountability for those people who we arrest to be held accountable, as well as increased charging and try to stop that revolving door issue that the police chiefs are seeing. We met with Ramsey County Attorney's Office last Friday as the police chiefs of Ramsey County had a 2.5 hour conversation, and that conversation is going to continue. Obviously, nothing can get solved in one meeting. And like you mentioned, Mayor, we want more than just words. We want action, and we want to be part of that solution as well. We want to see at the table. So we've got several meetings scheduled with Attorney John Choi coming up in the future. Also, another update, the Minnesota Police Chiefs Association has a legislative committee which they've convened, and they're going to examine legislative initiatives to hopefully get the attorneys, if they aren't doing charging, to at least be transparent with the community as to why they aren't doing certain charging. If there's a legitimate reason, that'll come out, but they're just working through the legislation to come up with some solutions. So as you mentioned, Mayor, we are early in the process. However, as I witnessed today, the difficult conversations are being made and were made, and we will continue to advocate for the safety and security of our Maplewood community.
Thanks, Chief.
You're welcome. And just like to give you guys an update, I'm glad the mayor brought this up. I wanted to bring it up. November 26th, Best Buy was looted in a similar manner to what we've seen happen in cities and on the news throughout the country. The Maplewood Police Department held a press conference, which really received a lot of local as well as some national attention. Burnsville and Blaine were also victims. The Best Buy of those two cities were also victims and were targeted, and the looting consisted of at least 21 individuals, and it appeared to be very well organized. Thousands and thousands of dollars were taken from the three stores. Through the use of public tips and investigative tools, and quite honestly, amazing detective work and police work on the Maplewood Police Department end, 13 individuals as of today have been identified, which is a pretty big feat considering a lot of them were wearing masks, not a lot of license plates were given out. So we've identified 13 individuals as well as the main organizer. And so tomorrow or as late as Wednesday, we'll be submitting charges to the Ramsey County Attorney's Office for all 13 individuals for felony theft. 2 of those 13 were juveniles, and we're hoping those will be charged as adults as they are now 18. And I'm proud of the work our officers did and our detectives did. And I think it really, ultimately looking back, formed an even stronger relationship with Best Buy, as well as the other retail businesses that we've been working with to not only solve this incident, but we provide extra patrols during the holidays. We had officers swing through during closing time to ensure that employees who were scared because of the looting and some of the increased crime had some officers present when they were leaving work. So I think, to make a bad situation good, I think we've definitely worked with the businesses in the retail areas up in the northern part of the city to really partner together. And ultimately, I hope this really sends a clear message that the Maplewood Police Department will not tolerate the victimization of its citizens or businesses. And we will use every investigative means necessary to really hold those committing these crimes fully accountable. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Chief. What a fabulous report. Send our regards to all of the public safety officers for their hard work on this. Identifying so many individuals under this circumstance is really an example of amazing police work. And thank you for your dedication and for the dedication of our officers to keep us all safe. So thank you very much for that. And I will just conclude this by saying that as the Regional Council of Mayors meets and works through this, and as, excuse me, we are meeting more with John Choi, along with other mayors in Ramsey County and with our police chiefs too. We will be back reporting to you about what is happening because we are committed to finding solutions for this. So thank you very much for that, and thank you, Chief. So let us now move to the Pledge of Allegiance, and we can get started with our agenda tonight. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Clerk Sint, would you do the roll call for us, please?
Councilmember Cave.
Here.
Councilmember Juniman.
Here.
Councilmember Knudsen.
Here.
Councilmember Villavicencio.
Here.
Mayor Abrams.
Here. Thank you very much. Council members, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I move approval of the agenda.
Second.
Moved by Juniman, seconded by Knudsen, the motion to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion or any additions?
Mayor, I would like to add a report on a meeting, an interview that City Manager Coleman and I conducted along with the St. Paul Chamber in their business interview program. And we interviewed St. John's last Friday, and there's some very interesting things going on there. I think the community and the council would certainly like to hear.
Okay, great, thanks. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, then let's take a vote. And our order tonight is going to be Councilmember Villavicencio, Councilmember Juniman, Councilmember Knutson, and Councilmember Cave. So Councilmember Villavicencio, how do you vote on the agenda?
Aye.
Councilmember Juniman,
Aye.
Councilmember Knutson,
Aye.
Councilmember Cave,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. Let's move to approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the December 13th City Council meeting minutes?
I move approval.
Second.
Moved by Juniman, seconded by Cave, the motion to approve the December 13th, 2021 City Council meeting minutes. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then let's take a vote. Councilmember Villavicencio,
Aye.
Councilmember Juniman,
Aye.
Councilmember Knutson,
Aye.
Councilmember Cave,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. Next, we have the December 20th, 2021 City Council special meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
I move
Motion
approval.
to approve the special meeting minutes.
I think Councilmember Juniman was first, Councilmember Villavicencio, would you consider that as second?
Yes, sorry about that.
Okay, moved by Juniman, seconded by Villavicencio. The motion to approve the December 20th, 2021 City Council special meeting minutes. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then let's go to a vote. Councilmember Villavicencio,
Aye.
Councilmember Juniman,
Aye.
Councilmember Knutson,
Aye.
and Councilmember Cave.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. The motion passes. Moving on to appointments and presentations. Administrative presentations, the council calendar update. City Manager Coleman, this is your agenda item.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. This is just to take a look at what's going to be happening on our next City Council agendas. On January 24th, we do not have a workshop planned, but we do have one for February 14th, where we'll be talking about the strategic plan update. And if you'll remember, one of the goals is to incorporate an environmental sustainability pillar or objective to our strategic plan. So Lois Knutson, our coordinator for our strategic plan, is working with staff right now, primarily the Parks and Natural Resource staff, to take a look at that, and then further input from the department heads. And then we'll bring you some proposed language and ideas for your consideration on the February 14th council meeting for adoption. We'll talk about it at the workshop. In addition to that, things that are still in the works are the parking space requirement review, which is being worked on right now by the Planning Commission and Community Development staff. And then the goats and buckthorn removal. Audra Robbins is still trying to, she's waiting for word back on whether or not we've received any grant funding to do that. And if not, once we hear that yes or no, we'll continue to try to get that scheduled for next summer or fall. In addition to that, at one of the last meetings, I believe the very last one of the year when we adopted the budget, there was some concern indicated from Councilmember Juniman and Mayor Abrams to look at some of the program spending at Ramsey County. And I have a follow-up call with the mayor and Councilmember Juniman this week to try to fine tune what they're looking exactly for information on, so that I can then work with the county to interface on that. I know that the HRA levy is one of those issues, but I'd like to hear more about the things that you're concerned about so I can follow up on that. And then during our workshop this evening, we heard from Mayor Abrams that she would like to talk about how we can use some of the unplanned money that we received either through ARPA funds or other sources such as the the opioid suit that probably won't get to us for a while, but I think those are good ideas. And I also wanted to mention that I met with Finance Director Paulson last week, and she's going to be presenting a report to you at our next meeting on where we are with the ARPA funds. And I believe she's going to have some good news about making an allocation to the EDA. So those are the things that I have to report back. I'd be happy to hear any comments or concerns that you have or things that you'd like staff to look into on your behalf. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, City Manager Coleman. You know, I'm glad that we're going to be talking about that and exploring this idea of how we can cobble together some of these unexpected funds that we receive. I've been thinking about this an awful lot, and I read somewhere that someone expressed that when everything is important, then nothing is important. Mm-hmm. And the one thing that I'm thinking about in terms of all of this creative movement that we have with our EDA and looking at these scattered site homes and, you know, looking at home ownership and what we can do to get some of these vacant homes rehabbed and back into neighborhoods with families in them, that it's going to take intentional commitment from the city council. And I know, you know, when we look at a tax levy and we consider increasing taxes, it's always a struggle, you know, to really think about this. And, you know, that's generally sometimes how cities fund their EDA is by increasing taxes. But I'm suggesting that if we could cobble together even, let's say, $300,000 between the opioid funds, the ARPA funds, so that we can have some seed money in our EDA, so that when we work with the graduate students, with the U, we learn what they have to tell us. We start looking at these single sites and what we might be able to do with them. We need to be able to have, we need to have money there. And I think that, you know, what I'm really interested in is as a policy is that when we have these unexpected, maybe windfall is not the right way to word it, but, you know, it doesn't happen that much, but, you know, when it does, that if we can target that to this EDA program with these scattered site homes around our community, or just simply being used by the EDA, it just makes so much sense. And it is only with intentionality that we can really get this program off the ground. I have been a big proponent of, you know, paying down our debt and being fiscally responsible. And I think that, you know, I want to thank Ms. Pulseth and the finance department for doing such a fine job with that. And it certainly would be easy to plug in some of these unexpected funds that we get into our budget. But if we keep doing that, that's where I get to the, if everything is important, then nothing is important. Mm-hmm. And if we really are committed to our EDA and to what we can do in rehabbing homes in our community, we have to be able to find funds for it. And this just seems to be the most pain-free way without raising taxes. And it seems to be a very intentional way. So thank you, City Manager Coleman, that, excuse me, that you have staff, you know, working on this and looking at this. Council members, do you have anything else that you would like to add? We'll go do our round robin. Councilmember Villavicencio.
Well, I agree with you fully, Mayor Abrams, on, you know, possibly using the funds for housing. You know, I think when you were discussing with the chief around crime, I think it's important that we need to focus on making the communities better for our children and families. And what better way to ensure that by having housing for folks. And, you can't have a good quality of life if you don't have secure housing. And I know that firsthand. So I think that it's important. And I can't wait to help you further that goal.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Juniman.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't know how exactly they would go about this, so I might be asking for an impossible task for staff. But, and this also reflects back on the quality of our police protection. I think I've said once before, we had a terrible drug flop house in my neighborhood, 2 doors away from me, for the last 3.5 years. And thanks to repeated, and I do mean repeated, police calls, they gave up the ghost and moved away. They're all gone. And a house flipper came in and has turned it into a beautiful home that is now going to go up for sale for a family. And it has given new spirit to the entire neighborhood. I don't care if it's winter or not. Let me tell you, the word has gotten around. And so I'm wondering if there's some way they could investigate, because these people who happen to flip this house do it all over the metropolitan area. And they said they have a real estate broker that they work with who points out properties to them, and then they pick from those. So I'm wondering if there are any contacts that we could possibly make to our economic development people with those kind of brokers, so that some of our vacant properties could be rehabbed just because of the kind of community we are. These people were attracted because of the neighborhood, the rest of the neighborhood, and the school district, everything. And it's an incredibly beautiful home now. It's just lovely. And it's still going to be affordable because it's the type of home that there's a ceiling to what you can ask for it, but it's now a nice home. So I'm just wondering if there's any way that they could possibly, maybe talking to other entities, I don't know, but these people have a broker, and they said it's very common for people who flip a house to have a broker they work with. So if we could get the word out that we are wanting to upgrade some of our vacant properties, it possibly might help us. It's just a thought.
That's something that sounds to me like we might put that into the mix with this program with the university students. And
Right.
It's something that maybe Mr. Thompson can follow up on
Yes.
in terms of targeting these homes. I know that working on updating that list that we had been provided previously, that's going to be quite a bit of work, but I think that that's something that we can maybe put that into the discussion. So maybe Mr.
Yes.
Thompson, you can make a note of that.
Thank you, Mayor. And City Manager Coleman, for the January 24th council meeting, we will be having some presentation by our environmental planner, Shan Finwall, about a grant program that she is applying for us to help us start to move forward with our climate adaptation plan. So that will be presented to us, so we can look forward to that at the January 24th meeting.
Thank you. Councilmember Knutson, you had a report on, let's see, on St. John's, on the meeting that you had with them.
I was first going to make a comment on the topic we're just talking about, because I think, with the grant and work with University of Minnesota, that's about research and all that. And something that might be interesting is that we get the idea we have some additional funding in the EDA is to really pilot, as Councilmember Juniman was just describing. Maybe we find a few of these houses and get going on it. What it does then, it promotes the market. In other words, if Maplewood is spirited and getting these homes rehabbed and bettering these communities, it certainly improves the market. So just want to give support to that kind of idea.
Okay,
But
thanks.
I will move on.
We'll be back with you in just a moment when we get to council presentations. Okay.
right.
We have still Councilmember Cave on anything else concerning the council calendar update.
Yeah, I think I'm the same with everyone on the council with all these putting our ARPA funds and EDA together. When we get unexpected funds, I think putting more seed money into the EDA is exactly what we need to do. Everyone has great ideas, and like we talked in our workshop, I think we're on a fantastic track, and we just stay on it and move forward. And as long as we have some money available to us, I think we'll be able to open up some other doors. So great job.
Thank you very much. Council presentations. Now, Councilmember Knutson, tell us about the exciting things happening at St. John's.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Last Friday, we had the opportunity to interview together with, again, the members of the people that run the interview program at St. Paul Chamber and City Manager Coleman. I met with Laura Kaitan, who is the site administrator at St. John's. Laura is retiring, unfortunately, in a week or so. And when I was at St. John's as the administrator, she was my director of radiology. So it's been a fun opportunity with her. But we had a number of questions for her, as typical of the interview process. Focused a lot on workforce, COVID, capacity, what's going on in the area relative to ambulance services. And then when we were finished with that, we moved on to what's in the future for St. John's. So quickly, St. John's is a great place to work, and they've had some trouble with workforce, but not a lot. Relative to COVID, they have a 20-bed ICU. The ER is taking on longer waits in the ER. People with COVID are spending more time in the ER until they can find a bed. And she did comment that, generally speaking, it's mostly unvaccinated people that are needing oxygen and so forth in the ICU. They're full all the time. It's a 184-bed facility. And, that's when I was there, that was the case too. And then we talked a little bit about the area ambulance services and the question of divert. If you're feeling like you really don't have capacity, what's happened now is because everybody's in the same trouble, they don't allow a divert. So I guess what I want to get at is there's a fascinating connection. And Chief Mondor certainly knows the intricacies of the area ambulance services and medical control. And it's a very cooperative group. And they do a lot behind the scenes that all we do is call 911 and people scramble. Okay, moving on to the development of St. John's. One of the things that I always dreamed of when I started the campus in 1981 is that it would become a tertiary hospital. What a tertiary hospital is, it's really regional. In other words, when you think of people that are going to travel from Hibbing, where would they go if they wanted to come to Twin Cities? They'd probably go to Abbott Northwestern, maybe a North Memorial, a Southdale, or something like that. Unlikely that they would go to St. John's in its past as a community hospital. What Laura was able to tell us is that they plan on building St. John's to a tertiary level. Things, likenesses, of course, are the easiest to understand, and Fairview Southdale would be a likeness, or maybe not a North Memorial, because North Memorial is a trauma center, level 1 trauma center. But relative to the service capacity, a tertiary hospital is a place where people would likely travel to. Someone from Wisconsin would come there, someone from northern Minnesota or southern Minnesota, because of the specialty confluence. In other words, you have so many different types of specialties. You could go there for a workup and see many specialists and really get answers and get treatment. So it's an amazing development, and I think the Fairview University system has really put a lot of energy into this. Unfortunately, how that happened, of course, is the closure of St. Joe's, which ultimately is inevitable. But I think for the North End study, all the things that we were dreaming of are kind of coming true. With the Birch Run new owners, with St. John's expanding to tertiary, I think medical office complexes, clinics, other types of ancillary services will likely develop. So very exciting news. Any questions, comments from the council?
I think that is absolutely amazing news. That is going to be great for our community to make that transition from being a community hospital to being a regional hospital. That really speaks very well of the quality of care at St. John's and the kind of support that our community gives to the hospital, and the fact that the city supports the hospital as well. So thank you for that great report. That is wonderful news for Maplewood, for our residents and for our businesses.
Mayor, I have a question.
Councilmember Cave.
Bill, just one question. What is it going to take to get to a regional? Is it going to take a larger space, more doctors? What is the
interesting thing is when I built St. John's, there was only one hospital in the upper Midwest that was smaller per square foot per bed, and that was the Ridges Hospital in Burnsville. And what happens is, and the struggle is you have one hallway. In other words, all the dishes and everything go down the main hallway where everybody travels. In a more expansive hospital, they have back corridors and things like that. What I'm getting at is St. John's is if they're likely will add more beds. How they do it would be kind of intriguing because we built it with the idea of building up. But the idea is that they will have more beds, and yes, there would be more specialists, probably, whether in connected office buildings or that new one across the street, is important. So level of service, for instance, the cardiology is kind of that's the lead. In other words, the idea of becoming regional, once they announced the cardiology piece, invasive cardiology, that to me signaled that there were more to come. Things like intensive neurology, stroke care, get more involved in. You tend to have more 24-hour services available, not just, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. You have more specialty services. Surgery probably operates a little longer. All kinds of things like that start to emerge. And it's carefully planned, obviously. Did I answer your question, Commissioner?
Yes. Fantastic. Okay. Fantastic. Thanks, Bill.
And where are they? Just one last question. Where are they with the new cardiac cath labs that they're adding upwards at the hospital?
Do you remember City Manager Coleman? It sounds like they're going to be available yet in 22.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor and Councilmember Knudsen. In our discussion, it sounded like they may be opened in the fall even.
Yeah.
Things go well. And then the other thing I was going to add is part of our discussion on Friday with St. John's was talking about their expansion. And they indicated that they're going to start looking at a space study to see how much they can do in their existing footprint and building. And we also discussed that now is a really good opportunity for them to look at acquiring more land if they need to with the new ownership at the Birch Run Station.
Yeah.
I just suggested to them that whoever takes Laura's spot gets together maybe with Jeff and I to talk about some of the possibilities there and to see if there's anything we can do to help facilitate a discussion of that nature.
One of the things that was always in the background was structured parking, which is, extraordinarily expensive. So, depending upon the demand for land and what they have to pay. When I bought that property, it was $1 a square foot back in 1981. So, yeah, no kidding. Some other interesting things in my notes here is that answering Councilmember Cave's question was, we noted that one of the determinants is the level of OB capacity. And what that means is what is the neonatal intensive care unit. Gauging that, you always use weeks of gestation. And 27 weeks is a very low threshold. In other words, that's preemies. And Laura announced that they could probably be able to do 27 weeks, which means you have to have neonatologists on staff available 24/7. You have to have all of the incubators and things you need. So that's a major opportunity for the community because, when you're in distress, you don't want to travel too far, and a NICU is a very important thing.
That's great.
Isn't that wonderful news? Councilmember Juniman, I see you have your hand raised.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I just had an encounter about a week ago with someone who lives in Legacy Village and who's aging out and is moving over to the Seasons. Something like a large 4-block move. But her realtor told her that the location of her house in Legacy Village will sell it in a heartbeat. And that where she's going over to the Seasons, they are almost at full capacity most of the time for the same reason. Their access to health care. And they said it's particularly the fact that there are an increasing number of cardiologists available in that new building across the street from the hospital. And so you can see how this type of thing attracts people to the area and keeps what's already there thriving, and will obviously drive the need for more places to be in that area. So it's just an anecdotal.
As long as you mentioned it, One of the
Yeah.
things about Maplewood that's intriguing is Chief Mondor has been working for years on this community paramedic idea.
Mhm.
So I'm working on a major project within my industry to develop services within senior campuses, like the one being built over by the new fire station,
Mhm.
whereby, services would be available in what essentially is an assisted living is in the home,
Mhm.
all of which would, anything close to the hospital would be
Yep.
an advantage. So I echo what you're saying. And that is a trend that I am working on professionally, and something that's going to happen in the community. So when you think of Maplewood and its ability to develop senior campuses, and certainly there's a trend in that direction, all of that fits together.
Thank you
Enough.
for that excellent report. That
What
is
great
great news
knowledge.
for our community. Yeah.
We're a
Thank you
great
for sharing
city.
that. Yeah. Okay, moving on our agenda, resolution for commissioner appointments. This is City Manager Coleman.
Thank you, Mayor Abrams, members of the City Council. There are two commissioners whose terms on the Planning Commission expired on December 31st of 21. John Eads and Alan Ege have submitted applications indicating a desire to serve. In that request to re-up, they're asked to fill out an assessment to evaluate their time on the commission and to provide input to the council. If you might note that in your packet, there was two applications, and one of the planning commissioners spent a fair amount of time asking or giving comments on what they'd like to see happen. And they were kind of unique. We don't typically get a lot of suggestions like that. So I'm going to reach out to Commissioner Ege and ask him a little bit more about that. So I'll be following up on that behalf, and if there's on your behalf, and if there's anything of interest, I will get back to you on that. What we need tonight for you is a motion to approve the attached resolution in your packet for reappointments for commissioners John Eads, who's been a member since August of 2016, and Alan Ege, a member since April of 2013. And that resolution is in your packet. This would extend their term to December 31st of 2024 for both members. And with that, Mayor, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you very much. Council members, are there any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve the resolution for commissioner reappointments?
Motion to approve the resolution for commissioner reappointments.
Is there
Second,
a second? Moved by Knudsen, seconded by Cave. The resolution for commissioner reappointments. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then let's go to a vote. Councilmember Villavicencio.
Aye.
Councilmember Juniman.
Aye.
Councilmember Knudsen.
Aye.
Councilmember Cave.
aye.
And I vote aye as well. The motion passes. And we move on to city council appointments to boards, commissions, and miscellaneous groups. This list is growing. City Manager Coleman, this is your staff report. Do you want to take this, please?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Every first meeting of the year, the City Council officially makes annual appointments to boards, commissions, and groups of which the city is a member of, and those who serve at the pleasure of the council. So what you have in your packet is a list of all of the appointments that we make. We have the 2021 appointments and who are in those roles. And then tonight, Mayor, it's up to you and the council to discuss who you'd like to appoint or appoint to those various commissions, committees, and boards. Would you like
Thank
me
you very
to get
much.
into a little bit about how that works, Mayor? Or
Sure. Do you want to do that?
Sure. So I asked City Clerk Sint to remind us all about how there is sort of a priority appointment process here. And so what we do is the acting mayor and the development committee appointments are historically determined by a running rotation of seats 1 through 4. For 2022, the rotation has seat 3, which is Councilmember Cave, as acting mayor, and seat number 1, which is Councilmember Villavicencio, as Development Committee. And for those of you who may not know what Development Committee is, it's the mayor and that council person who is responsible for doing my annual review and to help me set goals that can be approved by the council and to evaluate my performance in the year. The initial placement into a seat is based on the number of election votes received. Acting Mayor Pro Tem was added in 2020 in response to the pandemic. And you may remember that this came from Chief Lucan, who as our safety person and emergency manager suggested that it would be important to have 2 people in the backup position in case the mayor or others got sick during the year. So we still have that in place, and that's up to you whether you want to keep that in place or not. But with that, Mayor, I think it's really the next step would be for you and the council members just to go through these appointments and decide whether they're going to be reappointed or you're going to ask for some people to take different spots than they've been in the past.
Okay, thank you very much. So if we look at our list, I'm trying to make this as simple as we can for City Clerk Sint so that she can capture all of this as we discuss it. Based on the way that we've done this in the past, that would mean that Council Member Cave for 2022 would serve as the acting mayor. And I would propose that Council Member Villavicencio serve as the acting mayor pro tem. I think that I would suggest that we have an acting mayor pro tem while we are still in the pandemic. I think that maybe next year we can dispose of that. But I think that based on Lucan's, former Chief Lucan's recommendation, it seemed to be a really smart thing to do to have a little bit deeper bench. So those are the 2 that I would propose as our acting mayor is Councilmember Cave, and acting mayor pro tem would be Councilmember Villavicencio. In terms of the development committee, the rotation there would be Councilmember Villavicencio. In terms of the way the other appointments occur, since my time on the council going back to 2014, the most senior council member would get their pick so that they could follow along in the passions that they have. And then we kind of go through by seniority. So I want to turn to Councilmember Juniman and ask if there are any of the appointments that you have served in the past where your name is found in 2021, if you want to change any of those, or if you would like to continue your service on those commissions and other groups.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I have a question about the Development Committee. I was down for 2021, but it was not I. I think we combined 2020 and 2021. It was Councilmember Knudsen.
Yeah, I did that. Yeah.
But I wasn't it in 2021.
Oh, good point.
Just so you know.
Ooh.
I think you were on the year before with, you were, no.
Nope.
Okay. So City Clerk Sint, can we get a clarification on this?
Well, by my records, council and mayor, I would say if you look, 2020 was indeed Knudsen. And the appointment list that I had did show Councilmember Juniman to be 2021. Now, I don't follow up to make sure those appointments actually are followed through, so I can't speak as to who did the development on that.
It was Councilmember Knudsen.
Yes,
So
I think that was because we were not in person. And so it was not as logical to do as much background, if you will, as we normally do. And so I think that's how that happened. He carried over into 2021, but I just wanted you to know it wasn't I. So if anybody thinks I was doing it, I wasn't.
Okay.
Reason I was going to say what a great job you did, Kathy.
Hey, I should do all my appointments that way, apparently, in absentia.
Okay, so if it was Councilmember Knutson, we must have skipped you then.
Yep.
Are you sure you and I didn't do it the year before?
Nope, 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 nope.
Okay. Well, does anyone, City Manager Coleman, you have your hand up. Let's break this dilemma for us, please.
Well, I just wanted to confirm that Kathy has never been on the development committee that I recall at all. It's been other council members who are no longer with us on the council. And then
Okay.
Mr. Knudsen.
Well, let's put her on.
Then, okay, then let's do
Put her in the hot seat
that.
then.
Put her
Then
on.
let's put Councilmember Juniman, just for purposes of trying to be as fair as we can.
Mhm.
We'll put Councilmember Juniman on the Development Committee this time. Thank you for that, clarifying that point for us, Councilmember Juniman. Is there anything else concerning the things that you serve on currently? You are the auditor contact.
Yes, and
You
remarkably
are-
enough, I still want to do that. Isn't that amazing?
Okay, good. Environment and Natural Resource Committee.
Yes, please.
Okay, you are the alternate for Heading Home Ramsey.
Yes, if I must.
Okay, and you're on the Maplewood Green Team.
I am.
And you want to stay on that, I take it?
I do, please.
Okay, and you're on Ramsey County Dispatch.
Yes,
And you are the alternate for Rice Larpenter.
I am.
And I think I touched on all of yours.
Yes,
So
you did.
I take it, okay, so you're
Yep,
keeping
you're
all of
fine.
yours.
Thank you.
Okay. And I am next in terms of seniority on the council, and I'm keeping all of mine. While I'm talking, there is a new appointment that I want to talk about, that this literally came in the last week. I received an email from Charlie Zelli, who is the chair of the Met Council, and he is constituting it's called the CMC, the Purple Line Corridor Management Committee. And now that there really is no more rush line, that doesn't exist anymore, because the rush line has moved over all responsibility, and decision-making is at the Met Council level. And so he has asked me to appoint an elected to serve on the Purple Line Corridor Management Committee. The committee is going to be meeting every other month starting in April, talking about the Purple Line. And since we have on our city council an experienced transit advocate, I would like to appoint Councilmember Villavicencio to serve on the Purple Line Corridor Management Committee. And I would like to ask Councilmember Cave to serve as the alternate for that committee.
Sure.
Okay, Councilmember Villavicencio, are you willing to serve as the Purple Line Corridor Management Committee representative? Okay, so City Clerk Sint, I will copy you. I have to send an email back to Mr. Zelli, and I will copy you on it so that you can have the official title. I think it's important we can keep the rush line on here. It's really not operative because as I said, it's passed on to the Met Council for their decision-making. But I don't know if there's going to be any, circling back or anything. So I think maybe we keep it on our list for the next year, but there probably won't be any, we'll be able to drop that, I think, after this next year. So everything else I'm going to stay on. Councilmember Knutson, you are next in line. You serve, let's see, on Community Design Review. You are on the Planning Commission. You've just been appointed the chair again of the Housing and Economic Development Commission.
No, that's EDA. That's a different.
Oh, EDA, I'm sorry, that's right. Never
Housing,
mind.
yeah, I'm on housing and economic development.
You're
as
on
well.
housing and, yes, housing and economic development. Sorry, thank you for that. Let's see where else you're on, as I said, Planning Commission.
Yep.
Are you interested in continuing to serve in those capacities?
Yes, unless someone wants to bump me, that's fine, but I'll be glad to serve.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilmember Cave.
Yes.
You are now going to be the acting mayor. You are on the Gold Line. You are on the Gold Line CMC and also the Gold Line BRT. Let's see, you're now going to be the alternate for the Purple Line Corridor Management Group. And I think that's all of yours. Are you willing to serve in those capacities again?
Yes, I would like to do more though,
Okay,
but I don't know what Nikki wants to do. So if Nikki didn't want to do Parks and Rec, I would do that, or Heritage Preservation. So Nikki, if there's one of those two you want to give up, I will take them.
Councilmember Villavicencio.
I'd prefer to keep the ones that I have.
Oh, you play like that, huh?
I just
Okay.
feel like I just started out, so like,
That's fair.
yeah.
That's fair. I can always go to them. Fair enough.
You know, any council member certainly can watch on Zoom. And I think that, you know, that's kind of the beauty of these, is that we record our commission meetings. So if you know, even when we're in person, if you're not able to attend in person, you can always watch on Zoom. I sometimes take a look at some of our commission meetings. I look at the agenda and see what's going on. But it's certainly open to any council member who wants to do that. But Councilmember Cave will keep you in mind for any other new appointments that come up, okay?
Fair enough.
Mayor,
Councilmember Juniman.
thank you, Mayor. If Councilmember Cave wants another one, I've done the Rice Lavender thing long enough. I mean, if she wants to do that and can become acquainted with it, it's fine with me. I don't care.
Councilmember Cave, do you want to be the alternate for the Rice Larpenter
good one.
Alliance?
Sure.
Okay,
Because then
then
you-
let's make that
you-
change.
Because you could get more familiar with it. I was in it before the mayor, so, it would be good if you could get more familiar with it.
Okay. Thanks, Kat.
Sure.
Okay, we've got you down for that. And I will let Kim O'Brien, the executive director for the Alliance, know that you are the new alternate for that, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
So that then you can get emails and that kind of thing as well.
Mhm.
Okay, I think we've covered everything. City Clerk Sent, do you need clarifications on anything?
Thank you, Mayor, Councilor Mayor. Yeah, I guess I'm not quite sure. Can I verify that?
Sure.
Council Member Knudsen will be the alternate for Maplewood Communications. Was that?
Oh,
Yes. Sorry, yes, I forgot to read that as well.
Okay, so we're retaining that. And then
Yes.
also for the League of Local Governments, Ramsey County League of Local Governments, the alternate is Councilmember Villavicencio. Is that remaining?
Councilmember Villavicencio?
Yes, I would be interested in that too as well. Thank you.
And then the final one that I just want to make sure I have correct, the Suburban Area Chamber of Commerce. We do have Representative Councilmember Knudsen.
He is he's a rep along with me and City Manager Coleman.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that was all remaining the same. So, okay.
Thank you
I
very
am
much.
good.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for that, council members, and thank you, City Clerk Sent. Okay, now we are moving on our agenda. We need to approve this. Motion to approve the 2022 City Council appointments as we've just outlined. Is there a motion?
I move that very resolution.
Second.
Moved by Juniman, seconded by Cave, the motion to approve the 2022 City Council appointments to boards, commissions, and miscellaneous groups. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then let's vote. Councilmember Villavicencio,
Aye.
Councilmember Juniman,
Aye.
Councilmember Knutson,
Aye.
Councilmember Cave.
Aye.
Okay, and I vote aye as well. Okay, moving on to the Fix It launch update. Steve Love is going to be presenting, our Public Works Director. Mr. Love, are you on the line here?
Yes,
you on
Mayor
the phone?
Abrams, Council, are you able to hear me okay?
Yes, we are, and welcome.
Great. Well, I'm really excited bringing this update to you tonight for both our Fix It webpage as well as our new Fix It mapping tool. As you probably know, the Public Works Department and the Parks and Natural Resource Department utilize Cartograph to manage our city's infrastructure. One of the other things that we utilize Cartograph for is for tracking non-emergency issues reported to us by residents. The Cartograph program was built from the ground up to work directly with Esri GIS mapping software. And those two programs work very well together. Over the last year, city staff and our consultant, our GIS consultant, Bolton and Mink, have been working with representatives of both Cartograph and Esri to integrate Esri's solution for public reporting of issues directly into the Cartograph system. So tonight I'm going to just jump right in. I'm going to show you what that looks like on our city webpage, and then I also have a very short PowerPoint to show you what that might look like on a mobile phone. So we'll just jump right into it, and I will start off by sharing my screen here. And are you all able to see our city webpage here?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, so if we scroll down a little bit, one of our first buttons here is our Fix It form button. So if you select that, this will bring you to our new Maplewood Fix It webpage. And I want to thank Joe and Chad Burgo for helping kind of set this all up so that it's fairly easy to understand. So we essentially have two things. We have Fix It mapping and Fix It form. So Fix It mapping is the new program, and we have a little bit of a list here of typical things that you would normally be going to that particular application for reporting. For things like code enforcement, animal services, planning, we utilize our traditional Fix It form. This was our form that we used prior to the Fix It mapping tool. So we've got these two divided areas. And then we also provide this emergency number. This is, letting people know that if it's like a water main break or a sewer backup, we want them calling either our general number during our work hours or the non-emergency dispatch number during weekends or after hours. Again, that is for emergency type things such as a water main break. So if we're going to report a new issue here, and I'll go ahead and select this Fix It app. You'll be greeted by a splash screen, and this will be essentially, again, telling you what it's reporting for. Again, reminding people that, hey, if this is an emergency, you should be calling one of these numbers. And then we also provided a link to that alternative Fix It form. So if they get to this stage, they have a way to get back to the right Fix It form. So you just select off of that. And then you're greeted by this. This is obviously the shape of our city here. And what we've done is we've grouped several issues into common areas. We have drainage issues, tree issues, park issues, road issues, sanitary sewer issues, and snow and ice issues. So when you're on any particular one of these, so if I go to, for example, park issues, you will see that there are 4 things that are listed here. These are the 4 things that somebody has already reported in on. So this website is live, and we've done a soft launch of it. So we haven't put out our communication to our residents about it. We were wanting to bring this forward to you first. So you can actually select on these individual icons, and you can see when it was reported, what the issue that was reported, the status of it, and any resolution notes that might have been included. As you can see, when this person submitted it, they also included their photos for what they were actually reporting. So it's a really nice system for doing that. You can see what the different issues are. But to report a new issue, we're able to, and these will just be issues that are just related to the Parks Department. So you're able to select from a small menu. We wanted to keep it, we didn't want to get too granular and have a huge, large list. As you can see here, these are some very common things that would get reported. You would select one of these. And so let's damage play equipment. You could add in details such as, say the slide at Wakefield is broken. If you wanted, you could provide your contact information. We don't require that. If you had a photo on your computer that you wanted to upload, you could add it to there. And then you could add yourself, let's see here. You could add a location. Oh, not Wakefield, Yorkshire, England. Wakefield Park, Maplewood,
It's
Minnesota.
kind of cool.
And so that kind of brings us, oops, zoomed out. I'm trying to do this on my laptop tonight, so don't have my mouse, but this brings us to Wakefield. And you can come in here and drop a pin at roughly where you think the issue is. And then all you have to do is report it. And what this does then is it goes directly into our cartograph system, which is the side of things that our staff works through, where we interact with these requests, we provide updates and we close them out, and we might create tasks on them as well. So the integration allows every 10 minutes, Cartograph will go out and get any new information that's on this fix-it form that's been submitted. Anytime you log back in to this fix-it form, the fix-it form will go grab the latest information from Cartograph. So if it's been closed out, you will see it as green. If it is still a red issue, let's look at road issues. You can see we still have an open one here, but we have these three green closed out items. So to show you what this might look like on your cell phone, I got a short PowerPoint here. And we won't go through this too long here, but essentially these are images that I've captured off of my cell phone. So if you were to access this through the city's webpage, or if you had a shortcut on your phone, you'd be greeted by the same splash screen, where again, we let you know what you should be reporting on if you're here. Again, the notice about it's not for emergency uses such as water main breaks. And also, again, that link to our other fix-it form. If you were here for code enforcement, you could find your way to the right form that way. After you close that out, you'll be greeted by, you'll notice the same categories here and the same icons here. When you select an issue, it looks like we chose a road issue here. Again, you will see the same 4 items that have been reported previously highlighted there. If you wanted to look at the map, there's a map icon right there, little map icon that would take you to this map. And again, you can pinch in and zoom in on your tablet or on your phone, and you can select these issues, and again, see again the details, when it was reported, closed out, and you can see that this concrete was removed by our staff. Kind of jump through those. This reporting issue very much works like it did on the city webpage. So you would hit the green plus report issue. You would choose your top box there for selecting an issue. And this would pull up a little scrolling text that you can select from your different issues for related to roads. You would be able to add in your issue details. If you wanted to provide your contact information, you can do that. You would scroll down, and from here you could actually, when you hit browse on your phone, you can actually choose either to take a new picture, like if you were standing right next to this pothole, let's say it was on a trail, you could snap a picture of it, and you could drop a pin on where you want that, similar to what I showed you on the city's webpage. And then all you do is hit report it, and then it does the rest. And we have a number of automations that I've created in the background. So depending on the issue type, that issue will be, it doesn't just go into the system where it maybe gets lost and nobody saw it come in. We have it set up to send an email. So for example, if you had a pothole complaint, our street superintendent will get an email notifying him of it, as well as the 2 crew chiefs who act as his backup for responding to issues. So each issue will be has an automation to not only email the right department, but the right person in that department to begin looking into that item. From there, in the cartograph side of things, if it's somehow the wrong department, let's say this was on a park trail, the pothole, but it got reported to our street superintendent, he could move it over to park maintenance, and then park maintenance would automatically get a new email saying, hey, there's a new request here that has been sent to you. So with that, I didn't want to belabor this too much. I know this was I guess one of the things I want to really highlight is this solution doesn't cost us any additional money beyond the current licenses that the city has for Esri and Cartograph. This was a tool that was available to us, but the really neat part was we were able to integrate it versus having 2 separate systems managing things differently. It's all integrated and it talks back and forth to each other. So with that, I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Love. That is a great presentation. I think it's going to be very effective, very helpful for our residents. And it sounds like it's going to be a really efficient tool for staff as well. Let's see if there are any questions from council members. Councilmember Villavicencio.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I love it. The fact that we can streamline the information, and I think it'll help everybody. And I especially like it that it'll help the staff. And one question I thought is that, is there a way that we can make it an app?
Mayor and council, so probably the easiest thing that we could do is we could maybe put on some instructions on how you would take the link and make it as an icon on your phone. If we were doing this live, I'd be able to show you my phone, which is what I've done, is just you can take any web page link and turn it into a icon on your phone. So I have a little Maplewood Fix-It icon. It's a web-based program, so I don't think we can actually convert it over to an actual app.
Thank you, Mr. Love. Councilmember Juniman.
No, just a comment of, is this cool or what? Just
Pretty amazing, isn't it?
It is amazing, and it certainly brings it really close to people if they want to take care of something in a hurry. Here it is.
Yeah.
It adds to our transparency and our response. It's wonderful.
It does. Councilmember Knudsen.
Yes, thank you. I'm just wondering, do you get reports of things that aren't really problems? I mean, how do you evaluate the requester's ability to judge a problem? Is it
so? Mayor and council, that is, we deal with that every day already. You know, so if somebody calls in with a complaint or sends us an email, we still have to check it out and see if there is, you know, if there is a problem. Is it something that we need to do right now? What kind of response we need? There are times where we do get reports of things, and when we go out and check on them, for example, a bunch of signs got knocked down during the last winter snow event on English Street, and then our staff will go out and this actually happened when we verified that none of the signs had gotten knocked down. So that happens, but you know, I think we'd rather err on the side of looking into things than maybe missing things.
Is there any, other than that icon, is there any feedback to the complaint or to the reporter?
So I'll share my screen here real quick again. So as I was as we click on these different issues, the resolution notes that staff will enter will be available, and anybody
Oh, okay.
who, and so if you logged in 2 days later, because this was done the next day, you would see, oh, it's been closed out, and they removed the concrete and tarps that were dumped along the road. So
Right.
they have feedback that way. In the future, we may look at implementing a automated email response. But on some of these, we might be actually like calling the person and working through the issue with them, and we might have a short
Sure.
resolution note in afterwards, because sometimes these problems aren't just a simple one step, we'll go get it
Yeah.
kind of thing. So
But I would think code violations would be more complex.
yeah, I think code violations would
Yeah.
be definitely more complex. There are more steps to it and a longer time frame.
Thank you.
Councilmember Cave.
Yes, very, very streamlined, very easy to use, simple, simplistic, and I love how you put a resolution after just for people to see, because someone's going to check it. And I think this is a great addition to our community. Thanks for putting this up, Steve.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, absolutely. And then I also want to just mention that I know Joe's been waiting for me to get this ready, and he has some ideas on how to promote this as a new way for residents to report the issue, so they're aware about this new tool. Again, the nice thing is it does streamline it. It does actually free up some staff time too. So rather than maybe going through 2 phone calls to get to the right person, the issue gets reported, pretty much instantly to the right person. So we'll be working with Joe here in the future on getting the word out about this new tool.
Great. Thank you so much for that report. Okay, council members, moving on to our consent agenda. We have G 1 through 9. Is there a motion concerning the consent agenda?
Motion approval of consent agenda items G1 through G9.
Second.
Is there a second? Moved by Cave, seconded by Juniman. Is there any further discussion? I would like to highlight number 4. Council members, is there anyone else who would like to highlight anything else?
Yes,
think-
Mayor,
Councilmember
question.
Juniman.
I have a question on number 5 and a question on number 6 and a highlight for number 9.
Okay, any other council members?
This was Cave. I was going to just highlight number 9. So same with Kathy.
Okay, so let's start with number 4. That is the agreement with Axon Enterprise for our fleet squad camera. My question for the chief was just a little bit of background about our squad camera and what we're doing with squad cameras. Can you give us a little bit more about this consent agenda item?
Certainly. Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. Just to clarify, I guess, the difference between, for those who maybe don't know, the difference between a body worn camera and a squad camera. So squad cameras, we had them in the past before our body worn cameras. Squad cameras are affixed somewhere inside the squad, typically by the rear view mirror. They will show everything happening within a certain angle in front of the squad, so pretty much what the driver is seeing. And the newer ones now actually show what's happening inside the squad car as well. So they're going to cover the actual driver, any passenger, and then maybe even more importantly, the passenger in the rear. Could be the guy going to jail or a transport, but it can really show exactly what they're doing as well. So the body worn camera, on the other hand, is something that it fixed to the officer's shirt magnetically. It's going to see what the officer's chest is facing at that time, not necessarily what their head is looking at. So that's going to follow them inside on a
Chief,
call.
you just cut out.
You still there?
Yeah.
Voice back.
I think we're having a technical problem. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I can hear you.
Chief, okay. Chief,
I
you
can hear
cut
you
out.
Can you hear me now? Mayor?
Yes, yeah.
Yes, the body camera is going to follow the officer in on calls, on domestics, into schools, into private residence, where the squad camera is again affixed to the squad car. In the past, we did have these squad cameras, and then with the advent of technology came the Axon body-worn camera. Obviously, a big push for officers to be more transparent in what we're seeing and what we're dealing with, and to get away from just the image from the squad. Unfortunately, the body-worn camera from Axon was not compatible with our old squad camera system. It became obsolete. The data didn't talk to each other. The storage and retention was completely different. So we went with just body-worn cameras, and we went away from squad cameras with the intent that when technology caught up, we'd go with squad cameras again as a dual system. Several years ago, Axon finally came out with their squad camera system, but we did some testing of it, and it just wasn't ready for prime time. It didn't do exactly what we wanted it to do. We didn't think it was a good investment at the time. Again, technology has caught up. Now Axon has the Fleet 3 system, which is an amazing technological advantage over the old system. Again, it's going to fix to the windshield or the interior of the car. It's going to show the interior and exterior of the squad car. It's going to have a view of the driver, as I talked about before. This is going to be really increase transparency, community trust. It's going to limit civil and criminal liability for officers because it's going to show actual pursuits where we get data requests now. And with the body camera, all you see is pretty much the steering wheel, unless the officer is super tall and his chest sits above that steering wheel, which is pretty rare. In pursuits, in crashes, when we're looking at citing people for stop sign violations or speeding, none of that gets captured on the body-worn camera. So we're missing out on some critical evidence. We're missing out on what happens in a pursuit when an officer gets crashed into or crashes into somebody. We're missing out on what exactly happened, especially if the officer gets rendered unconscious or can't remember exactly what happened in the crash. So we're losing some of that. Some of the new features of it, this new system is really going to help officer safety. It's got a live view system, so a supervisor can log into a squad car 24/7 at any time. A little light turns on inside the squad to let the officer know that the supervisor is monitoring, but where that's going to come in handy is in a pursuit or in a high risk situation when the supervisor has to make a decision on if that officer should continue a pursuit or if they're in an active shooter situation in a squad car. That supervisor can log in remotely from his office and see exactly what it is that officer is seeing. It also talks with the body cam system and back and forth. So when you turn on the body cam system, the dash cam turns automatically. When the body cam turns on, the dash cam turns on automatically. And both systems have the same retention. There's no other systems we have to add in. The data storage is the same, retention storage is the same. So at this point, it didn't make sense not to move forward. We can't afford not to have some of this technology that really the public is demanding of police departments to be transparent. So at this point, I'll yield for any questions, but I hope that kind of explained the reasons why we wanted to go to a dual system.
It did, and I'm very glad that the technology is caught up and that we are able to do it. So I think it's a great idea. That thank you for addressing it. Did someone say something? Councilmember Juniman, did you want to say?
I'm sorry, that's absolutely amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's really great to see that that we're able to do that at this point. So moving on to number 5, that is the massage center. City Clerk Sint, this is your topic. Councilmember Juniman, what is your question concerning the massage center?
Well, I did talk to the city clerk earlier today. I wanted to make sure that the center itself, of course, was not only licensed, but not in any kind of trouble. And we do know that the applicant is also licensed, and we know those are separate. So I wanted to verify that. But I just wanted to let the applicant know that since this situation seems to be good, with both properly licensed and no previous problems at the center, that we want to see it stay that way. So I guess my caution is be good.
Did you want to, is the applicant on the line? Councilmember Juniman, did you want to ask the applicant something?
I just wanted to reinforce for her the responsibility involved here and how all of our regulations need to be followed.
Thank you. I think you've accomplished that.
Right. Thank you. That's all I wanted.
Okay. And number 6, This is the resolution directing final payment for the Southcrest Ferndale area. You had a question about that, Councilmember
Yes,
Juneman?
yes, thank you. I think I know the answer, but I want to be sure that not only is the project done according to what the staff says is acceptable, but if there were any resident issues, have they been resolved or are they set to be resolved?
Okay. Mr. Love, that's yours.
Yes, Mayor and Council, to the best of my knowledge, residential issues have been resolved on this.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to make sure.
Okay, and number 9, accepting the donation from Schmelz. Councilmember Juneman and Councilmember Cave wanted to highlight that. Chief, do you want to speak to that? This is yours as well.
Certainly, Madam Mayor and Council. I guess a lot of times I'm at a loss for words for the community support of the police department and fire and public safety. So once again, a very generous donation to Maplewood Public Safety in the amount of $1,000 to police and $1,000 to fire from Schmelz Countryside. A couple weeks ago, I received a Christmas card in the mail at work. And if I could just read it real quick, it's from Schmelz. It says, Director Beerman, we wish you and your staff a happy holidays and thank you for all your support this past year. It has certainly brought more activity than I can ever remember here in Maplewood. Please accept this check for programs within the community. Best wishes, the Schmelz family. So within that was a $1,000 check, and Chief Mondor received the same thing. So with the council's approval, we'd like to take the $2,000 and their wish is that we put it towards a program, and what better program than community outreach. So we'd like to use this money for some of our community outreach efforts and potentially partner with Schmelz in that exact outreach event that we end up doing, whether their name is on the brochure or they come out and do some community outreach with us. But you know, it's $2,000, and again, it's touching that the community continues to see the hard work we're doing within the community and rewards us for that, I guess. So thank you.
Fantastic.
That is wonderful.
And Schmelz has been doing this for many years. And so we thank them for continuing to support our public safety.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we really do appreciate that support. So thank you, Schmelz. Council members, we have gone through all of the items that were highlighted with questions. There's been a motion and a second. Then let's go to a vote. Councilmember Villavicencio, we're voting on consent agenda items G 1 through 9.
Yes, aye.
Councilmember Juneman.
Aye.
Councilmember Knudsen.
Aye.
Councilmember Cave.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. The motion passes. Moving on to new business. MnDOT, Mr. Love, this is your item.
Yes, Mayor and Council. So the Minnesota Department of Transportation is planning an improvement project for Trunk Highway 36. Project's going to run from Edgerton Street in Maplewood down to Greeley Street, which I believe is in Stillwater. It's primarily focused on bituminous repairs. It does have some ADA and stormwater improvements associated with it. The project is planned to take place in 2022. So as part of this project, I'm going to share my screen here. This is in the attachment of the agreement. It's actually a part of their plans. To kind of give you an idea of where we're at, Edgerton sits right over here just a little ways, and Arcade sits right over on the right-hand side. And we have Viking Drive right through this area. And Highway 36 is represented by these solid lines with the ticks on it. So in this location, there's a large metal stormwater pipe. It's 36 inches, and it runs from our side, lying south of Viking Drive. And it's the first 122 feet of it is city-owned. And then that runs, ties into their portion of the pipe, which runs up right to Little Canada, where the water discharges to this wetland. So in the preparation of their plans, they identified that the bottom of this large metal pipe is severely rusted out. They contacted us. We went out and inspected our portion, and the bottom of it is rusted out as well. And they are proposing to line the blue section of the pipe as part of their project to reinforce that pipe. They offered to let us have our section be included as part of their contract. The estimated cost was just a little over $22,000. This includes design and inspection as well. The final cost would be based on construction quantities, and it would be paid through the EUF. So as I mentioned, this is a metal pipe. A lot of our storm pipes are either concrete or plastic, but metal doesn't do very well, and this pipe is very, very deep. And so MnDOT is choosing to go with a lining option because the amount of disturbance that would happen to replace this pipe would be pretty large. By joining with them to have it done as part of this project, I believe that we'll see some cost savings as it is something that we would have to address in the condition that it's in. So with that, staff is recommending the approving the cooperative construction agreement with MnDOT for the lining of our section of the pipe. And I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Love. It really sounds like this is a matter of efficiency, cost savings, and certainly less disruption for all of the vehicles that are going to be traveling on Highway 36. So thank you for that. It just seems to be a very smart thing to do. Let's see if there are any questions from the council. Councilmember Villavicencio.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I had a couple questions. One is, can you just say what EUF is? And then I was wondering if you knew when they would start on construction.
Sure, Mayor and Council. So EUF is our environmental utility fee. It is collected for our stormwater system. We fund a lot of our stormwater improvements and repairs on our projects through that fee. As of right now, they have not bid out the contract yet. That's going to be happening within a couple of weeks. Once they get a contractor on board, we'll know more about the timing of the project. It's supposed to be in this summer construction season. And certainly we'll be providing council and public updates as we get them in the future.
Thank you. Councilmember Juniman, questions?
Thank you, Mayor. My only thing is a comment. I think it's not only not as disruptive and it's important for the road, it's also important environmentally. If the bottom of that pipe is rusted, all that water is not going where it belongs. So that's a good thing. And that obviously justifies why the payment will come from the environmental utility fee. This is why we do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Knudsen.
No comment.
Councilmember Cave.
No comment. Thank you. Good project.
Okay, then council members, we have a motion before us. Would someone like to make it?
I move the MnDOT Cooperative Construction Agreement, Trunk Highway 36 Improvement C Project 20-17.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Juniman, seconded by Knudsen. The motion to approve the cooperative construction agreement with MnDOT. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then let's vote. Councilmember Villavicencio.
Aye.
Councilmember Juniman.
Aye.
Councilmember Knudsen.
Aye.
Councilmember Cave.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Moving on, we have the Metropolitan Council Joint Powers and Cooperative Construction Agreement for the Gold Line. Mr. Love, this is yours as well.
Yes, Mayor and Council, as you know, the Gold Line project is a bus rapid transit project that's going to connect people across the regions with job centers, housings, and transit stations. It's going to run from St. Paul to Woodbury along the I-94 corridor. Similar to the former Rush line that is now the Purple line, the Gold line is entering into a stage where Metropolitan Council is leading the project now through construction, and they'll be in charge of operations once the construction is completed. So what this agreement is for is it does four main things. Maplewood will give the Met Council the right to, and their contractors the right to enter onto any city easements or right-of-ways to construct the project. And then the Met Council or its contractors will be required still to obtain permits through us, and that we will exercise our permit authority over any required city issued permits necessary for the construction of the project. And the last one is we'll exercise our right-of-way authority. So this is really probably the biggest one in there. It's basically saying if there is in our right-of-way, for example, if there is a XL line that needs to be relocated as part of the project, that we'll exercise our right-of-way authority to help enforce that line needing to be moved. Maplewood coordinated with the attorneys from Kennedy and Graven on the review of this attached agreement. They also are representing several of the other cities who are reviewing the exact same agreement for the Gold Line project. With that, staff does recommend approving the joint powers and cooperative construction agreement. And I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Love. Let's see if there are any questions. Councilmember Villavicencio.
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Councilmember Juniman.
No, thank you.
Councilmember Knudsen.
One question. So right now we have control of all the easements and right of ways. We don't have to acquire any.
Mayor and council, we have our current easements and right of way. The Gold Line project in Maplewood, probably the main portion that they're acquiring is along the south edge of 3M. And the city's not acquiring that, the Met Council is. But there will be a small taking along that south edge to fit in that new transit way.
Yeah, I remember that. Thank you.
Yep.
Councilmember Cave.
Yes, just to add on to Bill's question, 3M are they right now, are they fine with that? Have they come to an agreement?
Mayor and council, so I sat in on a number of meetings with 3M and the Gold Line project. There's nothing that I have heard that makes it sound like 3M isn't comfortable with what is being done. They've been very involved in the design process as well. So I have not heard that the right-of-way purchases have been made yet, but I'm sure that's well underway.
Okay, thanks, Steve.
Yep.
I don't have any questions. Council members, there's a motion before us. Would someone like to make it?
I move the Metropolitan Council Joint Powers and Cooperative Construction Agreement for the Gold Line Bus Rapid Transit Project, City Project 14-05.
Second.
Second.
Moved by Juniman, seconded by Knudsen, the motion to approve the Joint Powers and Cooperative Construction Agreement with the Met Council. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, then let's vote. Councilmember Villavicencio.
Aye.
Councilmember Juniman.
Aye.
Knudsen.
Aye.
Councilmember Cave.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. The motion passes. Next, we have Erskine Wood Floors, a conditional use permit. Mr. Thompson, this is your agenda item.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Just give me one moment to share my screen here. Okay, Mayor and Council, this item is a development application from Erskine Wood Floors to occupy an existing building on Century Avenue, the southwest corner of Geranium Avenue and Century Avenue. It's an existing kind of light industrial building. It's had a couple of uses in the past. Many people may remember it as the former Yoakum oil site, which was a fairly heavy operation on that site in terms of trucks and deliveries. But most recently, it's been privately owned and used to store car collection inside the building itself. So the applicant is proposing to locate their wood flooring company in the building. The majority of the use would occur within the building itself in terms of storage of the flooring materials and whatnot. But they are proposing to have a couple adding a loading dock door on the back of the building, and then storing a couple of trailers on a regular basis within the parking lot on the back of the building. So those two uses, both the interior storage or warehousing and the exterior storage of the semi trucks, both require a conditional use permit in the BC zoning district. So a number of conditions that we've included in the resolutions for the council's consideration. One, just about general maintenance and repair of the existing parking lot. The second is that the existing trash and recycling containers will need to be put into an enclosure that's consistent with our screening requirements for commercial solid waste. And then just noting that the only exterior storage that is allowed are the two trucks, and that there would be no additional storage associated with the business permitted. We did, as we do with all development applications, send a public hearing notice to property owners in the immediate area. And we did receive one response, which was included in the staff report. It was an item that was discussed at the Planning Commission meeting on December 21st. The neighbor had requested kind of a solid fence or wall for noise mitigation. And the Planning Commission actually thought that a vegetative screening would actually be better. And so after the meeting, so the Planning Commission recommended that additional trees be planted. It was noted in your staff report that after the Planning Commission meeting, the applicant met with the neighbor and came up with kind of a landscape plan, a revised landscape plan, and has committed to providing 7 additional evergreen trees or year-round screening landscaping along that west property line to screen the loading dock and the parking lot on the back of the building from those single-family homes to the west. So with that, the Planning Commission did recommend approval, and we've included the resolution approving the conditional use permit in your packet with those conditions that I've outlined, as well as the condition recommended by the Planning Commission. So with that, Mayor, I'm happy to answer any questions that the council has.
Okay, let's see if there are. Well, let me ask you one question first. Is the applicant on the call?
Mayor, I believe they are, yes.
Okay, so maybe we'll see if they have, you know what, why don't I ask if they want to join us and see if there's anything that they would like to say to us. Mr. Folds, do you have the ability to do that? And then we'll take all the questions at one time.
Mayor and Council, I do. I have allowed the caller the ability to unmute their phone, and it looks like they have done so.
I'm right here. Hi, everybody.
Mr. Erskine, is that you?
That's me.
Welcome to the council meeting. Is there anything else you would like to tell us about your business?
Well, just in case anyone isn't familiar with the property, you know, there currently exists a very heavy vegetative planting along the property line that just has a couple of voids in it that, you know, trees over the years that have just gone uncared for, and that the neighbor has actually come over and cut down because he preferred to look at no tree than a rough one. So when he and I met, it was a very nice meeting, very just a genuine guy. We went through and looked at, you know, any voids that might be present in his visual from his property to what we hope is going to be our property, and just plotted out how we would plant trees to infill those holes. And it seemed very reasonable to me anyway.
Thank you very much for being such a good neighbor about that. Let's see if council members have any questions either for Mr. Erskine or for Mr. Thompson. Councilmember Villavicencio.
No questions. Thank you.
Councilmember Juniman.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. It's not really a question as much as a comment. I really do appreciate that you worked it out with the neighbor. That's a wonderful thing for a business to do. My only question would be possibly talking to our staff, our environmental staff, about the current vegetation and then what you're going to plug in, only from the standpoint that we want something that's going to be long lasting. And so they often help with choice of species. So I would ask that maybe you ask them if what you've chosen is going to be the most long lasting. That's my only concern. Thank you.
Okay,
Sure.
Councilmember, Mr. Erskine?
Yep, if they feel that the arborvitae that the neighbor has requested is not in keeping, then we would certainly be open to their suggestions, but we're planting more, just Councilman Juniman, just so you know that we're planting more of what's there, so it blends in.
Right.
And the
And if
arborvitae that's been there for.
They're holding up okay, that's fine. I'm just concerned that it lasts for your benefit and theirs, that's all.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Knudsen?
I just have comments. I of course, as the liaison to the planning commission, I listened to the exchange, and Mr. Erskine is just, seems like a great businessman and a great neighbor. There was a lot of discussion about this with the planning commission, especially about the, the ability to screen and what else is going on in the neighborhood. So just reminded me of, as a small community, how important it is for everybody to do what they can to fit and to obviously stick with the rights they have within the zoning. So I just want to make a positive comment about the exchange between Mr. Erskine and the Planning Commission. And it was a great resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember
Thank
Cave?
you.
Yeah, just the last comment, and Mr. Erskine, you've got the gold star for the day. You certainly have been a great precedent for a business coming in.
I'm on my way.
It's really wonderful how you work. Yeah.
We'll be sure and send you that.
But it's really great. It just shows businesses that when you work with the residents, they're usually very nice, simple, and when you make a connection like that, it really pays off. So thank you for doing that.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, council members, then we have a motion before us. Would someone like to make it?
I would like to move the Erskine Wood Floors 2728 Geranium Avenue East conditional use permit amendment resolution.
Second.
Okay, moved by Juniman. I'm going to go second by Knudsen. I think, Cave, you were just a fraction slower. It was very close,
you watch,
though, very close. So there's a move by Juniman, seconded by Knudsen. The motion to approve the conditional use permit for at 2728 Geranium Avenue for Erskine Wood Floors. Is there any further discussion?
Only that I would like to comment.
Councilman Juniman?
Yes. And one of the reasons that made me want to make the motion as soon as I did is because I think you're going to be a great addition, not only to the neighborhood, but to our community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's vote. Councilmember Villavicencio.
Aye.
Councilmember Juniman.
Aye.
Councilmember Knudsen.
Aye.
Councilmember Cave.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. It's unanimous. Welcome, Mr. Erskine, to the city of Maplewood. We wish you great success with your business.
I am just so pleased to receive that welcome. Thank you very much, everyone. We will work hard to be a great neighbor and to be a great part of Maplewood.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We
all.
have one more agenda item. That is the Ridge Periodontic proposal. Mr. Thompson, this is yours as well.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So this property is located at County Road D and Hazelwood Street. It's a site that is actually currently owned by the Moose Lodge. The city actually sold the Moose Lodge as part of our acquisition of their facility in Gladstone. We had approved their new club location for this site, but they then located to a site, an existing building elsewhere in Maplewood. And so the dental clinic, the periodontic clinic has a purchase agreement or agreement with the property owner to buy the land, and they will construct their 4,000 square foot commercial building that would be, the sole tenant would be the dental clinic on the property. So it does require 2 items from the city. First, design review for construction of a new commercial building, and second, conditional use permit. The property is guided in our comp plan for commercial use, and it's zoned M1, which is light manufacturing, and the existing zoning and the proposal are consistent with the comprehensive plan. In general, dental clinic would be a permitted use in the N1 district, but given the proximity to residential properties because the building's within 350 feet of a residential property, it does require a conditional use permit. The business is actually located in Maplewood today on White Bear Avenue, and their operations have just outgrown their existing space. And so they're looking to purchase the property and then occupy as the sole tenant to meet their expanding business needs. The site has its challenges. There's as we've known from past applications in our ownership, there's a significant high voltage electric transmission lines on the property. There's also an underground pipeline, as well as some elevation change that do limit the buildability of the property. And so there is one kind of special approval that's also required, and that is a reduced setback from that pipeline. The code requires 100 feet setback to the pipeline, but they are proposing, or the design of the site would put the building at about 50 feet from the north line of that easement. So this is the proposed site plan. The improvements are really, this is rotated 90 degrees, so north is on the right-hand side of this plan. The building would be located kind of on the furthest north, the single-story building, and then the parking lot with access from Hazelwood Street would be directly to the south of that existing building, while outside the easement areas that are on the property for the transmission lines. You can see the foundation of one of the towers just to the left of the parking lot. It does meet the parking requirements, so there's enough parking on the site to meet our minimum parking stall requirements, and then all of the setbacks are complied with for the building and parking lot. This is the landscape plan. You can see that they really have an enhanced, significant landscaping plan on the north side of that building to greenscape and reestablish vegetation upon completion of construction. And I'll flip through some of the building elevations. I've mentioned it's a single-story building. Probably what's most telling are some of the renderings that they've provided of the new clinic. I think there are 3 here. This is kind of showing the main entrance for clients. This is another view of the building. And I think there's one more kind of showing the nighttime rendering of the proposed building. So staff has reviewed the application. We also provided a public hearing notice. There was one phone call we received just with some general questions, but the Planning Commission and the Community Design Review Board reviewed the proposal and both recommended approval of both the conditional use permit and the design review with those conditions that are included in your resolution. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Let's see if there are any questions of the council. Councilmember Villavicencio.
No, I don't have any questions on this. Thank you.
Councilmember Juniman.
You might know I would. Is the developer available tonight or?
Thank you. I was going to ask that same thing. Let's stop for one moment and we'll go and see if the developer's on the line. Thank you.
Mayor, I do believe they are. I have to exit out of my screen here to make sure.
They are, Jeff.
Yes, and Mayor, it does look like they are on the call.
Okay. Is it the foundation architects that we'd be talking to?
Yes, this is Bob Schaefer with Foundation Architects.
Hello, Mr. Schaefer. Welcome to the Maplewood City Council. Is there anything you'd like to tell us first about this project? And then what we'll do is we'll go back and see if the council members have any questions either for Mr. Thompson or for yourself.
All right.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, Ridge Periodontics is a specialty dental clinic, so the use that's going to occur there versus kind of like the Moose Lodge that was kind of planned for before is a very benign use. they typically treat patients for around an hour at least a piece. So it's a little different than a typical dentist even. That would be less time than that. So the turnover of cars is really slow, and the staff are mainly there. We also have a meeting room in it that's a little large so that they can hold little small seminars for other general dentists or other periodontists as well. But I mean, it only holds like 25 people max. This site has been super challenging because it's could be one of the worst sites I've ever had to design a project on. We have towers upon towers and pipes and you name it. But I think we came to a really good resolution on how it all works. We did push into the setback a little bit with the building for the pipeline setback. We're supposed to be, I think, 100 feet away, and we're 50 feet from the setback line. We're supposed to be 100 feet from the pipe itself. I think that was a 50-foot setback, and so we're about 75 feet away. And then we have a little infiltration pond at the tip of the property, and our client is super excited about this building and the ability to stay in Maplewood and keep their business going there. And I'm thrilled about the client. They've been great to work with, and I'm sure they'll be good citizens owning this building here. And I'm excited about the building because I think it's a really nice building that's going to go there and try to and hopefully draw people's attention a little bit away from all the towers and high power lines and stuff going overhead. If you have any questions, feel free. I'm pretty well familiar with the building.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Schaefer. I have to say that from the renderings, it looks like a very attractive building.
Yes.
Very nice.
Thank you.
So let's see if there are any council questions. Councilmember Villavicencio.
Yes, it seems pretty straightforward, so I still don't have any questions. Thank you. Thank you for your business.
Councilmember Juniman.
Yes, thank you. And yes, I agree with you, Mayor. It's a very attractive looking building. My concerns are obviously environmental. What's new? I want to make sure that they are totally aware of their obligations with the stormwater pond and the management of that pond over time, the filtration basin in particular. And then the landscaping plan, I call your attention to the environmental review by our environmental planner. From what I see here, the landscaping plan needs to be totally redone. And I would suggest with our staff input, because 3 of the 4 points that she points out, the first 3 things are considered invasive species. And so we not only don't want you to plant them, we are kind of saying don't. And because that's one of our environmental tenets, is to keep the natural resources safe. And so invasive species are not welcome. And also that the comment that there are no native plants included in this plan, I would really, really suggest that they do. And then the tree plantings are an issue as well. The quaking aspen is a pretty tree, but as she points out, it spreads by root suckers. So it's something, unless somebody wants to go out 3 times a year and keep cutting them off, which is a job I don't imagine too many people in periodontics want. I think taking their request that you change to a non-clonal native tree, meaning one that has no suckers. And then the Japanese lilac tree is an invasive species as well. And so she does make a suggestion to replace it with a service berry. In Maplewood, we are very aware of our impact on nature and preserving our natural resources, and we encourage native plantings. And so I would encourage you, the architect, and your landscaping person to probably connect with our environmental planner and discuss her suggestions, because we do not want to have you put in invasive species. Thank you.
Mr. Schaefer. Your comments on invasive species in our environmental plan.
Sure. We did read through all that. I did forward that to our landscape architect. who we were just waiting till after the meeting to make sure we had approval to move forward.
Sure.
And then they'll meet or call or do whatever to rectify the situation.
All right.
Not,
Thank you.
She's been very conscious on all of our projects for that. So I just want to make sure our landscape architect meets with the city person and they come to, some kind of direction that they're
Good.
gonna
And
take.
I think it will be lovely, just as lovely when you're done. So everybody wins. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for your willingness to review that. Councilmember Knutson.
Just comments. Again, I sit on the design review board as an observer, and it was kind of interesting. The review board looked at the structure. They had some comments about the durability of the contact between the building and the ground, which of course, in a best world, they were probably right. But, in fact, they would add a lot of costs to the building. I think the architect, listened, and, the plan or the design review didn't insist on it, but made comments on it. So I think that's the right way this commission needs to work, and work with architects, look at the actual use of the building and come up with a very practical point of view. So I just wanted to let you know that the proceedings of the design review sometimes get pretty intense. And anyhow, it's going to be a great project. Just wanted to make that comment.
Thank you. Councilmember Cave.
Yes, just a quick comment. This area that the dental office is going to go in, it's, right at a stop sign location. It's not very pretty. And, I'm just always impressed with people in their craft and how an architect can come up with a design of a building in an area that looks like it's not good for anything, and make something fantastic. And I'm really excited that this business wants to stay in Maplewood because we want them to stay in Maplewood. And I think this is going to be great for our community. So thank you.
Thank you. And I
Thank
would
you.
concur with Councilmember Cave. Excuse me. Council members, we have two motions in front of us. Would someone like to make the first motion concerning the conditional use permit?
I would move the
Motion.
conditional use permit resolution for the Ridge Periodontic Building, 3033 Hazelwood Street North.
Second.
Moved by Juniman, seconded by Cave. The motion to approve the conditional use permit resolution for the proposed dental clinic. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, let's go to a vote. Councilmember Villavicencio.
Aye.
Councilmember Juniman.
Aye.
Councilmember Knutson.
Aye.
Councilmember Cave.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. We have one more motion concerning the design review resolution. Would someone like to make that?
I will move the design review resolution, for the proposed dental clinic at 3033 Hazelwood Street North with the, subject to certain conditions of approval, including the landscape plan.
Is there a
Second.
second? Moved by Juniman, seconded by Cave. The motion to approve the design review resolution, including the landscaping item that Councilmember Juniman brought up. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, let's go to a vote. Councilmember Villavicencio.
Aye.
Councilmember Juniman.
Aye.
Councilmember Knutson.
Aye.
And Councilmember Cave.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Thank you, Mr. Schaefer, and you can tell the owners, thank you for staying in Maplewood. We really appreciate their
Yes.
business.
I will do.
Thank you very much. Council members, with that, we have gone through our very first agenda for the year. And we are at the end of our meeting. I just wanted to close out by thanking all of you again for helping us continue to do the business of the city. Thank you all staff members. It's unfortunate that we're still in a Zoom setting. If you recall back when I moved the council and all of our commissions to Zoom meetings, I was working with City Manager Coleman. We're looking at the numbers, paying attention to the numbers. And the number gauge that we were looking at was a pattern of being over 50 infections per 100,000 people. And I looked at the numbers this morning, and we are double that. We are actually, I think it was 101 today per 100,000 as our infection rate. And it was, in terms of a graded scale, the infection rate for COVID at this point is considered severe. So I think that by moving to Zoom meetings, while they're a little bit clunky, I think we can still get the business of the city done, and we can do it safely. So I want to thank all my council members for their help in being patient going back to Zoom. So let's see if anyone would like to add any comments at the end of our meeting. Councilmember Villavicencio.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and thank you for your leadership on that. I agree with you. I just during this meeting, I had an email from the school district saying that more of our classes are being put on distance learning. So that's obviously the numbers that are showing that we need to be safe. So, to all our residents in Maplewood, please make sure you get vaccinated if you haven't, and wear a mask when you can. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Juneman.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. It's clunky, but I think it's less clunky than the first time around, so we must have gotten more used to it. And it's amazing to me that, clunky though it be, the business gets done and we still move along, and it's actually quite amazing. And I was, hesitant at first way back, and then we had to go back, and it's like, oh boy. But we do what we have to do, and it's still happening. And I agree with you that a lot of it has to do with the fact that the staff keeps everything moving on our behalf. But we also have staff helping us with these meetings. And I think we are doing quite well considering what's going on in the world. So we'll just do this as we have to stay well and keep other people well. We don't want to bring in developers and so on either. They have to be in a situation they'd rather not be in. So I think we're doing quite well. And, I thank my fellow council members as well, but I just think we're doing great. And we even have a little sense of humor about it. So, where there's humor, there's hope. And
yes, that's true. That is true.
By the way, my dog still enjoys being the unofficial Maplewood mascot. He attends every meeting at my feet.
There you go.
Thanks. Councilmember Knudsen.
I'm in a sweatshirt, and I didn't shave, so this is great.
Oh my.
And we still got the business of the city done.
That's right.
Yeah. So, Councilmember Cave.
Oh, Happy New Year, everybody. Yes. And what a great New Year it's going to be. And if this meeting is anything to say where it's going, just like you've all said, we are moving forward. We're moving positive. We're moving safely. So to all you out there, stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And with that, we are adjourned. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Bye. Good night.
Record.